record. Okay. Um, so thanks for talking to us about this, John. Tell us again about what is going on with the Palatia Apartments.
Well, the Palatia Apartments has gone through quite the ordeal over the last 2 years, as you very well know. We've done a couple pieces on it. Palatia is a property that we've owned for quite some time, and over the last couple of years, we saw the property be basically invaded and overtaken by immigration, the Tren de Aragua. Late last year, after months and months and months and months of pleading for help, we were finally able to get the police to come in and do a raid. But it's been very damaging. And obviously, what's most concerning is that, we had families living on site that were hurt. There was a lot of crime that happened on site. People were, unfortunately, probably trafficked and drugs and killed. And there was just a ridiculous amount of crime that basically happened at our property because of all this stuff that was happening due to this migration. The two migration centers are next to our asset. We reached out to the district attorney and we met with him and begged him, pleaded for help, and we offered to have a station there where a police officer could come, and they denied doing that. We did reach out to the council person, and they were very accommodating. And finally, that's when we were able to start getting some help. But unfortunately, what's happened is, we've spent a lot of the money trying to bring this thing back, but we're just past the point of return. And unfortunately, because of the situation over the last 2 years and what's happened, we're going to have to probably give the property back. We are going to give the property back to the bank. They're going to take it back next week.
So what does that essentially mean? A bankruptcy filing?
It's a foreclosure at the end of the day, is what happens.
You said that you've been spending money to try and bring it back. What was wrong? A lot of vandalism?
Well, we first recognized the issue, and while we were trying to alleviate, we were spending a lot of money to, obviously turn units, to obviously offer. We had off-duty officers on site every single day working with us, and so we raised a lot of money because we believed in the property. We'd owned it before the migration issue. It was very successful. It was a family environment. We had five playgrounds, a soccer field, and a pool. It was a very family-friendly property. We wanted to keep the level of the integrity of the property up, but we spent a lot of money. But every time we turned a unit, within hours, it had been broken into. It was an enterprise that was going on with these gang members. They would be watching our properties, watching what we're doing, and as soon as we fixed it, they'd go in and tear it up. They had their own leases that they were signing with these residents or with these migrants that they were bringing in, taking their money and breaking into our units. And I couldn't, in good faith, send my people in there to try and get those people out because they could potentially be hurt. So it just became a situation that's continually escalated and escalated to a point where it's out of our control. We are very grateful for what the SAPD did in the police raid they had. But unfortunately, the ability to come back from that was just too far gone at that point.
The district attorney's office, you're not as complimentary yet. Um, what could the DA's office and the police have done differently?
When we first, started these conversations with the city, we went and sat down. I sat down with Eric Burns, with the district attorney's office, and he said verbatim to me, "We refuse to acknowledge there's a migration issue, and if there's any issues on site that you're having to deal with, that's on you. We're not going to send additional tax dollars on more police at your property." And my response was, "Well, the people that live there are taxpayers as well." It was unfortunately not a productive call, but I wasn't willing to give up. That's obviously when I reached out to you initially and we had our first call because we'd asked for that substation at the property, if you remember in that first interview we did. And clearly that wasn't going the direction we wanted. And that's not obviously we've always wanted to work in good faith and improve the property. That's always been our intent. We want to have a safe home for our residents. We don't want crime. So that's when we had to take initial steps. That's when I reached out to the council person of our area. That's when we engaged the gang unit, and I've met with them several times at the property. And that fortunately started the process. But again, it just took a very long time, which the problem on site progressively got worse and worse and worse and worse. And they ended up, I think when they did the raid, they arrested 12 of the top leaders of the Tren de Aragua for the location or whatever for the area, they tell me, which that's a pretty serious thing.
Can you remind me how many units you have there and currently, how many do you think are occupied? How many are um, damaged?
Well, we have 678 units, and it's currently 40% occupied. Um, the cost to bring that additional 60%, which obviously is a very large number, 300 plus units, it's extraordinary because we're not talking about just going in and putting in new carpet and paint. I mean, these units have been damaged to the point to where you have to redo the plumbing, the wiring, the drywall, the flooring, the appliances. This is a big ticket item. Not to mention the carrying cost for the property while it's 40% occupied is just very extreme. And that really is, beyond our control at this point, or capability, I should say.
What do you think happens next week when um, it is foreclosed on? I mean, do the residents there have to get out at some point, or does the bank, you know, operate it, I guess, in the interim?
I can't answer for the bank and how they're going to operate. To best of my knowledge and what I've been told is they're going to put it in the hands of I think they're going to put it in the hands of somebody that's got experience in operating. They're going to put some money into it and try and stabilize it. Fortunately for them, they're in a good position because now the two migrant stations that were next to the property have been closed down. And so, unfortunate for us, bad timing for us, but good for them. And I think that there is a path to bringing this property back to the level that it was at, but it is going to take time. It is going to take money, which is just we're from us, from our perspective, we've gone the path that we can do.
One last question I have.
Of course.
Low income housing has been a priority for San Antonio, and this is such a big um, low income facility. Um, what kind of impact is this going to have on the supply of low income housing?
It's going to make a big impact. I mean, you figure, on average, 2.5 units, 2.5 residents per unit. So, 679 at 2.5. I mean, that's 1,700 residents potentially fully occupied that are units that are not going to be available. I mean, that's a lot of housing, a lot of housing. And it's such a tremendous location because it's not only affordable, safe, well, it used to be safe, affordable, nice housing, but it's also well located with good employment in the area, central San Antonio, close to San Antonio, close to schools. It's a really well located asset outside of the fact that it's affordable.
Do you expect the city and the DA's office to blame you?
Um, I don't really think it matters who they blame. I mean, the reality is, I think that we've put forth every effort that we potentially could in this scenario, and I think the facts are the facts. And they cannot deny that I went and sat down with them and begged and pleaded for their help.
Did the break-ins and the damage persist even after the October raid?
It has declined heavily, without question. I think, if you go on property now, it's much quieter than it used to be. But because it is 40% occupied and there are a lot of vacant units, there's still going to be some element of squatters, people breaking in. I don't think that it's anywhere near what it used to be, but you're still going to have that element until the property's full. You're going to have that kind of, those kind of issues.
Okay. Well, unless there's anything else further you'd like to say, I think we covered the main points.
Okay. Well, Jay, man, I appreciate you. You've been great to work through this process.
Well, I'm sorry to see it end this way. I hope you're able to perhaps open another facility in our area again soon. That's certainly something that is needed. Every other council meeting is about housing, and
We
so
like San Antonio. We know we're based in Dallas-Fort Worth, but we like San Antonio. We want to be down that market. I like going down there. I like bringing my family down there. It's just a good market to be in. I think it's a great city.
all right. Well, we'll do something today, And
Okay.
and then we'll just kind of stay in touch if things develop further.
All right, Jay. Thank you again. I really appreciate it, buddy.
All right, take care.